This view is of the only shop left in Loddiswell. Known locally as Elliott's, it is now a spa shop, and the London House stores behind the photographer was turned into flats in the 1990s. The blocked-up doorway of the old shop can be clearly seen in the modern photograph. As late as 1926, there were 5 shops in Loddiswell, including 2 grocers and a baker, but now only this one shop remains. The children in the centre of the old photograph would have been pupils at one or other of the 2 village schools, a surprising number in such a small place. There was much rivalry between the 2 establishments, and children would change schools for trivial reasons. For example, failure to win a school prize, dislike of discipline, etc. Richard Peake of the Independent Church set up the British School in 1853, and the Anglicans set up their own church school in a room above a pigsty. Obviously unsuitable, in 1872 a proper school building was erected and known as the National School. As early as 1874, the school inspectors were pointing out the unnecessary expense of maintaining 2 schools, but it was not until 1916 that they were finally united at the British School site. The National School then became the village hall. However, in 1937 it was reopened as an infant's classroom and remained in use until 1956. This caused some problems with regard to ownership, as the 1944 Education Act declared that any church school being used for education automatically belonged to the church. This left Loddiswell Parish Council with the annoyance of having to buy back property which had belonged to the council in the past. Loddiswell War Memorial seems a friendly monument without the uncomfortably placed iron railing. Perhaps surprisingly, they were not removed during the Second World War as part of the nationwide call for scrap metal in November 1941, and were in fact still in place as late as 1966. The monument was erected on 16th December 1920, with the parish council taking on the responsibility of maintenance, repainting the railings, cleaning the stone, and, unexpectedly, in the wake of the war to end all wars, adding new names in 1948 after the Second World War. In 1931, the parish council received a request to install a small gate to enable parishioners to place wreaths and flowers at the foot of the memorial without risking damage to themselves whilst leaning over the spikes. By 1966, the railings were broken and a decision needed to be taken as to whether to repair or replace. Replacement of damaged railings was agreed upon, but by 1969 the Women's Institute were offering to erect chains and posts to mark the site, so the railings had been removed by that time. The Courtledge in Loddiswell, the land around the church, was once the hub of village life. The Church House Inn was there until it burnt down in 1878. The jail, now turned into a cottage, and the pound. However, for most of the 20th century, it was used as a hauliers' park. Hines Limited, a local firm, originally parked their horses and carts under the Congregational Hall. But by 1929, there were complaints about the company parking carts on the green. Over the years, the carts were replaced with lorries. In 1957, Mr. J.W. Hine bought property at the Courtledge and was given permission to build a garage behind the photographer's position. So the lorries were then maintained there rather than simply parked. The damage to the grass, even around the War Memorial on the right, and the general appearance generated many complaints. After years of trying to find a solution, the company moved to the Butts at the edge of Loddiswell, and £30,000 was allocated by the District Council to tidy up the Courtledge area and return it to a more traditional village space. In the background, Cosy Cot has been extended and covered with render over the years, while Corner House behind it retains much of the appearance of 100 years ago. The monkey puzzle tree at the courthouse, named after the Courtledge, not a legal court, has been replaced by a tree which is now similar in size.